So, I made a video last month titled Robert Eggers Has No Misses, and I saw a ton of people come out of the web work to agree. In fact, it was a pretty wholesome experience to read so many people voice their love for The Northman specifically, the only Eggers movie that doesn't get universal praise. And while I understand the things people see that hold it back from masterpiece status for them, I still feel a masterpiece when I see it, and it's super nice to hear from you guys and gals out there that see it the same way that I do. But also, I always respect people's takes, even if they aren't the same takes that I have. For example, my Eggers video got a lot more attention post Nosferatu being released, and I'm seeing a lot of people saying that it's his first miss. Spoiler, I don't really think it's a miss, and I think it's an accidental blessing to have that video in hindsight being seen by thousands of people with the context of his newest outing being available for consumption. So just a quick reminder, look, you can not like any movie you want. I just hope people feel comfortable enough to articulate how they disagree in a reasonably respectful comment, or if not, I at least hope it's funny, alright? But I made that video, Robert Eggers Has No Misses, knowing he only had 3 films under his belt, and the long, looming shadow of Nosferatu was creeping ever closer, you know? Christmas Day, we'd have Eggers' 4th feature, and seeing the press run, he seemed focused. It's his 2nd film for Focus Features, too. Coincidence? The same studio that caused a pivot in his budget and arguably a pivot in the critical eye, Northman still is and always will be a masterpiece for me, but I'm just saying that from a Raven's eye view, that's what seemed to happen with critics, and that distaste trickled down to the masses. It happens, you know, it happened with Hot Rod. Nosferatu has a smaller budget than the $90 million Northman, but still far beyond the $11 million Lighthouse. We're looking at a little under $50 million, but I don't want to talk about money, you know? There are 3 things you shouldn't talk about when spending time with your family during the holidays: money, religion, and politics. So thank God for Nosferatu, because I can't shut the fuck up about it and no one else could get a word in edgewise. I gotta say, I've only seen it once as of writing this review compared to the 3 to 5 rewatches that his other 3 have for me, but on first watch, I gotta say, Nosferatu is dreadful. Dreadful in the sense that it's full of dread and awesome, and I loved it. A few months back, I had the pleasure of seeing the 1922 original Nosferatu in a theater for the first watch. The only problem was that it was scored with Radiohead for some reason, which, I mean, listen, hearing Idiotech bleep and bloop away over grainy black and white Count Orlok was, in fact, kind of a vibe after hitting a couple blinkers from the cart, but I knew come Christmas Day I would see a new iteration of the classic gothic horror tale. What I was not expecting, though, I probably should have, was that Eggers would tell the story exactly as the original did, in the same order, with not much added except Eggers' penchant for immaculate shot design and oppressive atmosphere. Now, if there are any Nosferatu scholars watching this video, please feel free to illuminate us all in the comments with the things that he did change. There were just none that were glaring at me during my experience. Although, one thing I did notice missing was the scene of Count Orlok lifting those caskets, which in the original was an incredibly striking image as well as a marvel of special effects for the time. The scene wasn't in this version, which didn't really bother me, it just was interesting that he left it out. Also, the characters talk out loud. That's a big change too, I guess. The story follows Ellen and Thomas Hutter, a couple living in the fictional town of Wiesberg. Thomas is a budding real estate man and is given a client who is ready to sign on the dotted line of a big mansion in Wiesberg. If he does, he gets the real estate equivalent of making partner or something. The only problem is that the potential buyer lives in a big castle in Transylvania, so Thomas must leave Helen to travel to this man's estate to get him to sign for the property. Count Orlok is his name, and he's sketchy as shit. Once Thomas and Ellen separate from each other, the real story begins. See, Ellen has been communicating with some evil entity on a psychic plane and has been connected to it since she was a child, and this evil entity beckons her toward it, whatever it is, toward him. Nosferatu. Bill Skarsgård is Count Orlok. Bill Skarsgård is it. Anyway. I've heard some folks expressing their exhaustion at yet another retelling of Dracula, but Nosferatu isn't just Dracula as far as cinematic experiences are concerned. Dracula has been adapted so many ways, left, right, and center, but Nosferatu is a rather unique story. The weird, gross love triangle between Thomas and Ellen and Count Orlok is unique to Nosferatu, and Eggers taps into all of his atmospheric tricks to make the dynamic mysterious and unsettling. Let's talk about the cast. I was a bit disappointed when first hearing the cast list for this movie, TB completely H with you. Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Bill Skarsgård, these are all actors that have done amazing things, but they're also not exactly who you'd expect for a Robert Eggers movie. Not what I would expect, at least, and I'm glad that I was relatively wrong. Nicholas Hoult sweats so much in this movie. He's soaking wet, and he's terrified for 80% of his screen time. Aaron Taylor Johnson has both this movie and Kraven the Hunter in theaters simultaneously, and that is quite the spectrum. I won't say he's incredible in this, but he plays his role well. He's posh, he's a bit arrogant. It's good casting. The two performances that really stuck out to me here were Skarsgård as Orlok and Lily Rose Depp. The twisted hold of seduction that Count Orlok has over Ellen plays out in a series of scenes where Depp gets to go full possession mode. Her performances are all over the place in these different scenes, and I say that as a compliment. Despite a very shocking introduction to her character to open the movie, throughout the film she seems like a meek, mousy housewife at first, but the struggle against her longing for Count Orlok sends her into these violent, unsettling fits and seizures, all while her husband has gone away trying to land a deal that will accidentally bring her spiritual tormentor within floating distance of her. Bruh. It's a small world, I guess. Bill Skarsgård is virtually unrecognizable as Count Orlok, even down to the voice. He disappears so fully into this character, it might be a more committed performance than he gave for Pennywise. The way Skarsgård disappears so completely into Orlok makes it one of my favorite performances of the year. His mustache is fine, by the way. If y'all hate the mustache that much, I mean, shit, I respect your decision, but it's unfortunately accurate to counts of the time, and also get over it with respect. These performances showed up late, but despite 11 months of great movies and good performances, 2024 could end on the highest of high notes with Nosferatu. Everyone is good in it, and Eggers is really good at it, still. In my Eggers video, I said he had no misses, and I'm very happy to report that, for me only, Nosferatu is also far from a miss. The only flaw I had with Nosferatu is the same flaw I had with The Northman. I have very little to zero criticisms for the final product as a work of art. The only thing I wish Eggers would do differently is write more original stories next time. I think Eggers' magic really shows when he's writing a story that has not been passed down for generations, or in The Northman's case, millennia. The Northman had a story everybody knows, and now Nosferatu is a story everybody knows. There's nothing inherently wrong with a filmmaker doing this. The source material is trustworthy, and Eggers' skills as a filmmaker are trustworthy. I just would love to see Eggers tell me a story next time cinematically that we have no past experience with. The Witch and The Lighthouse are both like that, and I don't think it's a coincidence that those are still his two best and most acclaimed films. There's a sauce on those two movies, I think, because they are not world-famous, culturally ubiquitous stories, and I'm aware they are much more obscure folk tales that he's pulling from for The Witch and Lighthouse, yet they became their own kind of classic tale for the modern audience for those that connected with them. Robert Eggers makes timeless movies, regardless of whether the stories have already been told before. That's what makes him so great at doing this shit, that's what I'm saying. So I guess I'm complaining about A+ filmmaking for not being A+++ the extra credit bonus question. A+ times 4 is still impeccable. That's some quick maths. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy New Year. As always, like and subscribe if you want, okay? I'll see you. Bye.